And we begin with breaking news today. Marvin Scott's family wanted officers to be indicted for his death, but we now know, at least at this point, that that is not happening.
Yeah, those 8 jailers will not be indicted. Rebecca Lopez has been following this story very closely since last March. She joins us now live with the latest. Rebecca?
Well, Cynthia, the DA's office issued a statement saying that these jailers, the 8 jailers, will face no criminal state charges and were no billed by the grand jury. And in a rare move, the grand jury also issued a statement saying they found no probable cause to indict. Sheriff Jim Skinner did fire those officers back in April after this happened, and then the Texas Rangers began investigating. Now, Greg Willis, the DA, and the grand jury said this was a tragedy, but what happened inside the Collin County jail was not criminal. This all started on March 14th when Marvin Scott was arrested in Allen for less than 2 ounces of marijuana. He was taken to that was Addison, for less than 2 ounces of marijuana. He was taken to a hospital where he was cleared by a doctor to go to the jail. When he got there, the sheriff says he was having a difficult time and jailers restrained him by trying to secure him to a bed. They also issued a spit hood to stop him from spitting on the detention officers, and then they issued OC spray. The medical examiner ruled that he died of acute stress response. There were protests after his death, with many in the community demanding justice. His family telling the media that he suffered from mental health issues and needed help, but not restraint. There's video that shows what happened, but the sheriff says thus far he has not released it. The DA says all of this evidence was presented to the grand jury that looked at it for days before handing up their decision. Attorneys for the 8 jailers say they did nothing wrong and their reputations were tarnished. They are all fighting to get their jobs back.
What happened here is a tragedy, and I won't gloss over that fact. But the actions by the jailers to restrain Marvin Scott were not criminal. They were not even a violation of Collin County policies or procedures. They were law enforcement officers with hundreds of thousands of hours of training and experience that were doing everything they were taught and everything they knew how to do.
Now, this is part of the grand jury statement that they released. They say, "We sincerely hope the loss of Marvin Scott will not be in vain. We are therefore recommending that a work group be convened as soon as practically possible to study the events of March 14th for lessons learned in an effort to avoid anything or any other future similar tragedy." The sheriff also issued a statement, Sheriff Skinner, saying, due to pending civil service hearings for 7 of the detention officers terminated by Collin County Sheriff Jim Skinner on April 1st, 2021, and legal claims being asserted by the Scott's family attorney, we have no further comment at this time. One of the jailers did appeal. One of those jailers did get their jobs back. The 7 others are the ones that are appealing. There have been multiple demands for the sheriff to release the video so the public can see what happened. He definitely has had the discretion all along to do that, and so far he has not done that. Back to you guys.